Hey, welcome to Oh That's Love.
No, babe, that's love.
Nah, it should be more like Oh
Oh,
That's
that's
Love.
love.
On this show, our goal is to teach y'all how to love,
Yeah,
how to find love,
yeah,
or who to love
yeah, yeah.
based on our atypical love story. I
Absolutely.
messed that all up, but we gonna get it together. I'm Kyrie Terrell.
I'm Natasha Wilson.
Not for long.
Very true.
Yeah, not for long. You know what I'm saying? You ready to turn her to TT, y'all. Tosh Terrell, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, we get married
Nevertheless,
later.
hold on.
Later in the year. What?
Oh, that's love is back.
Oh, that's love is back. Is it back? Cause it depend on you.
It's back.
It's back?
It's back.
Don't lie to the people.
So let's talk about a little bit because let's give a little bit of background. Let's not assume that everybody's been rocking with us from the beginning.
Okay.
Here. So it's been 3 years.
3-ish.
It's been 3 years.
20, yeah, you're right. 2020, but it was like the end of 2020 when we went away.
Kyrie.
When we stopped, I'm saying. It was closer to the fall of 2020.
No, I mean
When we
we
stopped.
attempted again, but if we're being honest, the real true season was season 1 that went during the pandemic's lockdown.
Right.
Yes, so that was technically 3 years ago, and much has happened in that time.
It has.
And we will certainly spend the next several episodes going through all of that. But obviously, the biggest thing that happened in that time.
We definitely got engaged in that time. So we'll have to have an episode that's all about the engagement process.
And they'll have to go back and check out the episode where Kyrie said he would never get married.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
I didn't say never.
Check the Carfax. He
But
said
today's
it.
episode, anyway, is about effective communication in a relationship. Because Natasha don't know how to talk to nobody.
What?
And also, we just got back from Dubai.
Yes.
And a lot of people were asking about our Dubai trip, which was put together by the travel goddess herself.
His eye.
And we had a wonderful, phenomenal time. I really enjoyed myself more than I thought I would. The only downside of my trip was
Why would you have a downside to a trip I planned?
because my
How
Eagles
dare
lost the
you?
Super Bowl while we were there. We had to watch it at 3 a.m. because it was 6 p.m. here, and my Eagles lost the Super Bowl. So that was the only downside.
That's
But
fair.
yeah, so talk to him about what you got going on with the travel goddess and how people can, book Dubai trips with you or trips to other places. And we'll talk a little bit about our trip.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, why won't we start talking about our trip first? And
Okay.
then,
All
yeah.
right. So what was your highlight of the trip?
So, all right. So, guys, we went to Dubai. Yay, finally, which was my 35th country. Super exciting. But nevertheless, it was a couples trip, right? So it was designed for couples by Travel Goddess International. And it was over the Valentine's Day holiday. So that was kind of like the theme, right? Cool. Couples joined us. We had a good time. But more importantly, Kyrie and I arrived 2 days early just so that we could spend time enjoying each other and enjoying the country and the city of Dubai, the country of UAE. So with that being said, we did so many great things. And I think, because I've been talking about this a lot now with just people that have asked me. And the one thing that I keep coming back to is, yes, Dubai is amazing and it's totally not overrated. That's for sure. But what was my highlight was experiencing a new destination with my partner and creating those new memories together. And we're able now to be like, remember when and remember how, and oh my goodness, that was wild, or that person was crazy. And we have all these just little fun little nuggets that
Right.
will now keep with us forever.
We got a lot of those about a lot of other countries too, though.
That's true, but
Like-
because travel is so important to me, that's really where my heart thrives, if
Right,
you will.
right.
Yeah.
Malachi, how she sound? She good? I'm sorry, my OCD is like trying to reposition her mic. Nonetheless, though,
I do this. Okay?
I really enjoyed. You put together a phenomenal itinerary. At first, it looked kind of daunting. I'm not gonna lie. It was like every day there's
It does.
multiple things that we got going on, but me and you talked about this before. I think when you don't have anything to do, sometimes you can end up on a vacation and you're like enjoying your hotel room or the hotel amenities. And it's like,
Sure.
you could have stayed home to do all of that. You know what I mean? You could have went to a nice hotel in your city and did that.
I'm like twofold on that, but go ahead.
Well, I'm saying it because I think when you go away, especially abroad, the goal should be to check out the place you're at.
Oh, absolutely.
It should be to take in any and everything that you can and really not get too much sleep doing it. I think you should spend as least time in your room as you possibly can. So that's what we did.
I don't
in
even know
Dubai.
how we are a thing because I love my sleep.
I love my sleep too.
No, but I know exactly what you're saying.
Specifically
You're
saying
talking
when
about when you're traveling. No,
Yeah.
I know. But you're absolutely right. I think to immerse yourself in the destination, in the culture, with the people, the cuisine, the things to do, even if if you're into the nightlife, like all of those layers of a getaway or experience, if you will, are important. They really make or break how you come back and tell your people if you loved it or if it was overrated.
There's also especially with places like Dubai. Obviously, we've been to Costa Rica, we've been to Jamaica, we've been
outside.
where else we've
We've
been?
been outside together, y'all.
country-wise.
Again, it has been 3 years.
A lot of different countries. Been to Mexico a bunch of times.
A lot has happened.
But in Dominica was
Yes.
good. So I really wanted to talk about Dubai. I think for me was the biggest, and Dominica too, though, were really big cultural differences, if you will. I think that when you go to different places, you have the opportunity to immerse yourself in, their lifestyle.
Sure.
How they live, how they move. And I think I'd have to say Dubai was very fascinating in that regard.
Yeah.
Our tour guides, some of the people that worked at our hotel, the fact that people of all different walks of life and nationalities actually live there and work there, how much jobs that they produce and provide. Excuse me. I was astonished to see Asians working in an Islamic mosque. Like that blew my mind. You know what I'm saying? Just so much opportunity and so much diversity there. And not to get away from Dubai, but Dominica was different in the fact that it almost had a primitive feel, but it also had a just alive and vibrant and I guess it had to do with everything around you being green and damn near everything was edible.
Yes.
Or it was some type of thing that produced something. Yeah.
That's what they're known for.
That's another place y'all gotta go.
Yes.
Not Dominica and not the Dominican, not the Dominican Republic. It is pronounced Dominica. That's how the locals pronounce it.
Yeah.
And it's a small island. It's in the Caribbean.
It's in the Caribbean.
And it just gets looked over, but it's a beautiful place to be. So y'all got to check that out too.
I definitely think the moral of what we're saying is vacation. And more importantly...
And friendcation too. You can enjoy it with a friend if you're single.
Yeah, I know. But this is, that's love. So we're talking about bays.
Fair enough.
I'm saying that, yes, vacation, coin phrase, such and such. But more importantly, I think you learn more about yourself and your partner when you guys are, for lack of a better words, forced into a new environment together.
That's
You're
a
either
fact.
going to sink or swim. And that is a great opportunity to gauge if I can hang out with this person long term. And by hanging out, I mean be with, but also hang out, So
No, that's a fact.
So while we had an incredible time, this show is not sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts. While we had an incredible time, we utilized the last evening to go up to the rooftop bar of our restaurant or of our hotel, and really just decompress from the entire experience. We asked each other questions. We asked each other, what did you get out of the last 8 days? And we really just legit took an opportunity to say, how did this experience further our relationship?
Right.
And how did this experience affect us to grow as individuals?
Right.
Because we always talk about the Bays, and we are a team and we are a unit, but we stood as individuals, dope individuals, if I might add, for a long time prior to being ourselves. So
you got to share it with the people.
I know.
I mean, it's a wonderful segue because we sat up there and we talked, and that's
Yeah.
what this episode is about. It's about not just communication, but effective communication.
Yeah.
So you got to go deeper, and you got to tell the people what you brought home from our Dubai experience, and then I'll tell the folks. So what was your thing? What was your individual thing? Nothing to do with me, but Natasha felt this way.
Yeah, so it's tricky if I'll say, because originally going into it, my what do I want to get out of this had everything to do with you. And let me explain. Because I knew this was going to be your first, in so many ways, like the longest flight you'd ever taken.
Hell yeah, long ass flight.
The first time, flying Emirates Air. The first
Beautiful
time
flight, though.
being in an Islamic country. The first time being on the Asian continent. Like, the list of first was so robust in my mind for
Right.
you that I was so excited. Like, I was excited for you, and I was excited for us because, again, travel is my love. So what I was looking to get from this was that you saw and felt travel for at least a moment in the same way that I did. And that was going to be the fulfilling moment for me. So I was intentional on utilizing the time on the rooftop to pick your brain and to have the conversation and to learn if my personal goal and my personal win, if you will, was achieved. Okay. And that was special to me.
And it was.
Yeah.
It was. So before you go to your other point, what I'll say about what you just said is, I think one of the dopest things about Dubai was the fact that it used to not exist.
Oh, yeah.
Not as a place.
It's like a baby.
Yeah, not as a place, but as what the place currently is.
Sure.
Like there always was a Dubai, but it was called something else years ago. I forget what our tour guide told us it was called. But after their, oil influx and the whole nine, and when their country, had this influx of money, they started to build. And I think the dope thing about their builds is they started to build in a way that was like, we want to be the only or the first or the most this or the most that with everything that they architected.
Yeah.
And
I like to say that they build with being the best in mind.
Yes.
And
that's a perfect way to say it.
And that honestly should just be how people in
should
general
be.
should think.
It definitely should be. And the fact that so much of the city didn't exist, like how they built their city and they let the sea in to create canals that go through their city, almost a la Chicago. The Palm, like
Palm Jumeirah.
the Palm Jumeirah is man-made. And when our tour guide was telling us that they actually brought pieces of the earth, to like slabs of you got to call it the earth because too huge for you to imagine. Like wherever you live, and when you see apartment complexes and hotels and the whole thing, imagine if the earth beneath them was created. It didn't exist before.
Right.
Like if you Google the Palm Jumeirah, you'll see it's like this. It's made to look like a palm tree. It's like this circle, and it has leaves, and it has like a trunk. But it used to be water, and they put this in place. They built the shape of a palm on our earth, and then built upon it. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And they're building a bigger one now. We learned that they're building another
so
palm.
stay tuned, and we'll return to Dubai.
And they have the Burj Khalifa,
yeah.
which is the largest building in the world, tallest building in the world. And they're building another building that's supposed to be taller.
Build with being the best in mind.
It's fascinating.
But yeah.
Just so much more. The sand dunes were fascinating to me. I had never been in a desert like that where you just see sand that goes on.
And it's smooth.
It was like powder.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, fine granular sand that you could like build a sandcastle out of. was almost like dust or powder,
So moral of the story.
but it went on forever. That's
is
fascinating.
that my want, my end game, my end goal for the trip was clearly achieved.
Oh yeah, that came true.
Because he has
That was-
not stopped talking about Dubai
Yeah,
since we got
yeah,
back.
it's so, and we could do a whole Dubai episode.
We could,
quite honestly.
especially because of how it made you feel, and that's what remember how people made you feel.
Yeah, we'll do that when your next when you drop your next trip, your trip package
in a couple of weeks.
to Dubai. We'll have to do a full Dubai episode.
Yeah.
So I'll hold that right there. But I will say what I said to her on the rooftop was, and I think I displayed that as soon as I came home. My thing just was like time. And I actually watched a clip of Steve Harvey on EYL when they did their recent Invest Fest, and he talked about him getting this judge show after it was an idea of his for 12 years. And one of the things about me is I'm so ambitious that I always want things to happen fast, right? And I said to you, like when we were on the rooftop, I said, what I really need to do is I need to prioritize the things that I want to get done, but I also need to write them down and map them out in a way that is I can have goals and milestones to chase down.
Yeah.
Instead of just having this hodgepodge of things that I want to accomplish and trying to make them all happen almost simultaneously. So that was the biggest thing that I got out of it when I say time is like, I was thinking about that in Dubai, and I was thinking about, that they just started building this thing in the 70s, and now here we are 50 years later, and they're this amazing place. And, when Steve Harvey, you think about him in a way that like he's almost seemed to be famous most of our lives, but he talks about his financial struggles throughout that time and how this judge show is like the most financially promising thing that he has, but it took him 12 years to get to that, the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. I have never thought about any of the things that I want to do with maybe 12 years from now.
Yeah.
I can accomplish that. But that trip and then subsequently watching that interview on the flight home really like was some glue. And the craziest thing, the world, universe, or God or whatever speaks to you. Because
Always.
In that interview, Steve was talking about his connection to Abu Dhabi and the royal family.
Where we
And
had just...
We just left. We
Literally.
still smelled like Abu Dhabi.
Literally.
And I didn't even mean to watch that interview.
Yeah.
I meant to watch another one, his old interview, and it was a new one. So I watched the new one. And here he is talking about Abu Dhabi. So it just spoke to me in a way that was like, all right, Kai, hustle, grind, focus, but at the same time be patient and be precise. Have some steps that you're going to take.
Action items.
Right? Yeah. So that was in a nutshell what we talked about on the roof.
And what you took from it.
And what I took from it.
Yeah.
But speaking of talking, effective communication, you better learn how to talk to me, Natasha.
Miley was good. That's how I talk.
You better learn how to talk to me. Okay?
Miley, what's good?
Let me tell y'all about Natasha, man. So Natasha is a Taurus.
A Taurus.
I don't believe in none of that mess,
I do.
But she does. That's why I bring it up. Tauruses are the bull. They're bullies. They're ambitious and they go-getters and all of that too. But Natasha is definitely a bully. And I am.
This is the first time I am hearing
It's
you
not.
think I'm
it's not
a bully?
because I always tell you stop trying big sister me.
That's
always
not the
tell you that.
same thing.
It is because
a bully and a big sister are not the same thing.
it's kind of the same thing because
Comments
you're used
below because I don't believe
You're
that.
used to being able to bull your way into having things your way because you're the oldest.
Oh,
Jamaica, Sharice, am I lying? Am I lying, Troy? Am I lying?
All right. Now, when you said bull your way, that's different because I think that that's more of my Taurus bull horns than it is me being a bully.
What's the root word of bully?
I hear you. Carry on.
Anywho, so sometimes she act like she don't know who she talking to. And I have to remind her to make love with her words, right? Because I don't know that we've had a fight.
No.
I don't know that we've had this might not work out disagreement.
Right.
Like in our 3 years. And I think that's because we both do effectively understand how to communicate. Natasha is different than most women in that she doesn't like, put up an immediate fight just because I'm saying something to her. She may not want to communicate it in that time, but she comes around later with some sort of a change. But the point that I want to make to everybody who's listening, and this goes into, the goal of our show being, helping people love better. Mm-hmm. When you're in a relationship with somebody, you have to remember that that person should be your best friend. If they're not your best friend, I don't know why you're in a relationship with them. But that person
No
should
shade.
be, right? They should be your best friend. They should be the closest person to you.
Right.
And that even means like closer than your kids and stuff. And that's no shade to the kids or nothing like that. But it's just that you guys as union should make the kids' lives better.
Exactly.
Right? Because if you guys are fighting and breaking up and divorcing or showing the kids those sorts of things, it's going to affect the kids' lives in a negative way.
Absolutely.
So that's why I say that partnership, they should be the closest person to you. And what I always see, and I have to remind Natasha of this sometimes, is people get so comfortable that they become either callous or in competition to that person who's the closest person to them, especially with the way that they speak to them.
Sure.
Right? They fly off the handle and they B words and N words and P words and they doing all of this and they to that person that's supposed to be the closest person to you.
Right.
And the best way I can explain it to you is think about how you speak to someone, men especially before you get the yams, right? Women, when you're interested in that man that's courting you, right? Or it's new, right? Think about the communication. You holding back your tongue, you speaking nicely, you perking up to the conversation. And then think about 2, 3, 4 years later and you're like, why don't you just, and it's like.
Or just leave me alone.
Come on, y'all. If you really love this person and they your partner, make love with your words.
Yeah.
Think about how you're speaking to them, right?
Absolutely.
Like just now on the way here.
What?
On the way here. So me and Natasha, typically in the morning.
I feel like you about to just make up stuff. Let me hear what you about
Typically
to say.
in the morning, we go get a coffee. So we had to come film Oh, That's Love, right? And we running a little behind. And I told Natasha, I'm like, you do your makeup at the studio. She's like, I don't want to do my makeup at the studio. I'm going to do my makeup at home. And we had that little dialogue. But on the way home, I was about to still stop at Dunkin'. It was just, it's what we do. Come from the gym, stop at Dunkin', get a little something, and we go home. So she flew off the handle. Where is you going? Why is you trying to go get a coffee? And I told you I want to do my, and I was like, babe, all you got to do is say, babe, let's just go straight home. You could get the coffee while I'm in the shower.
While I'm not going to make excuses for that.
Yeah, don't make no excuses.
Because, thank you. Let me say I did circle back. We got on the same page, but I'll start and then I'll get to that. It's important to know from both sides, I'll say this, for the partner to read the room, see what's going on with your partner that might contribute to that not necessarily warranted reaction, but immediate reaction. Because in that moment, part of my was I was working and I was just dealing with questions or fielding questions that I am like, you're supposed to know this. So that makes me like slightly annoyed, but I'm working through it. So then
I don't
when
got nothing to do with that.
I understand, this is just painting the picture from both sides of the perspective. So
because get your ish together.
But read the room. As a partner, read the room.
But I can't read the room if I don't know what you're reading. That's unfair.
You can tell body
if we're
language.
having a dialogue about what you're going through, that's different. But if you're in your phone and you're doing work on your own job and I don't know what you're reading is perturbing you.
That's fair.
You can't give me that energy.
Okay, well, that's where it stemmed from. So I apologize. You know, we got there. And then I got in the house. I'm like, all right, let me get myself together. He was asking me questions, but I was like, I knew. The other thing is I am conscious of when I need to reset so that my energy does not permeate the household because our house is our safe space. So I got in the house. He was asking me a couple questions, but I'm like, I'm going to just take the me time right now because I do not want to communicate to you in a nasty way any further than already has transpired in the morning. So that did happen. I am conscious of that. I am conscious that my partner should be the closest person to me. And more importantly, especially with Kyrie, he goes out of his way 99% of the time. I'm not giving you the full 100, bro. 99% of the time to make sure I am okay, to make sure I am good. So I continue to remind myself, more importantly, the bull in me, to not charge. And if that not charge means don't talk to me for a little bit, let me gather myself. I put my gospel music on. I got my life. Then I circled back and I said, babe, I'll do my makeup at the studio so we can be on time. But again, if I'm not choosing my partner first, if I'm not conscious of my own behavior, and if I'm not understanding that that's the closest person to me, then I'm not making that decision or those decisions. Because there was a multitude of decisions that transpired in a matter of 45 minutes.
It was. And I'll give you credit for doing a good job on a thing that I see a lot of couples do, men and women. Arguments in relationships are often ongoing. Meaning they never got to the root or the problem, the cause, or the resolve, or some sort of a median agreement. So the next time someone's out of line, because that's just what happens in relationships, somebody's going to do something that the other side doesn't really appreciate. That old argument comes back into play.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
I know, just leave it alone. Leave it.
Yeah, we don't do that. And we don't do that for multiple reasons. And this is where I'll give you a lot of the credit. I don't do it because I'm conscious of it. I'm just simply conscious of it. And you know that about me. It's where we have some sort of a disagreement, or we even have some sort of it's not always about disagreement. It might just be a life situation that's coming up. I'm great at bringing that to a conversation. Like, we need to talk about this. And we're great at being mature enough to have a dialogue about things and understand each other's side and move on.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, that's not always arguing. I don't want to put that in anybody's, universe, because what I'm specifically talking about is life happening. Like, plus or minus, it might not even have nothing to do on your household.
Right.
It might be as much as are we going to so and so's event because this person gonna be there and they did whatever. But it's important to dialogue about that first,
Yeah.
so that you and your partner can be on the same page about whatever.
Yeah.
Because another thing that causes arguments a lot of times is people not feeling like they were on the same page as their partner in a certain environment.
Right.
Right. That's
I thought you. Well, I thought you.
Right.
Well, we both thought wrong.
Right. We both thought wrong because we didn't have a pre-dialogue.
Exactly.
Right. So the kudos that I'm giving you is that when I do bring something up, you're very good at isolating that thing, unless you're hungry. She's a whole different person when she's hungry, y'all. She's y'all ever see The Ring?
No,
The
don't
girl
do
was
that.
twisting them
Don't
up.
do that.
That's Natasha if she ain't had nothing to eat. But no, typically you're great at hearing whatever I'm talking about, isolating that thing. We come to a resolve together, and I never hear about it again. Right? That's one thing that I definitely love about Natasha.
Most of it is because I don't care that much. If I'm being honest, not that I don't care about you, not I don't care about the situation at hand, but and this is me in every day, everything I'm doing. What is the issue? What is the solution? And what are the next steps?
Right.
Boom, bang,
And
done.
a part of that is because
I don't want to
understand.
keep going through the. Who has time? I don't have that kind of time.
You understand that we're not in competition with each other.
Exactly.
Sometimes in relationships, and oftentimes I should say, because that person's the closest person to you, it's like, I got the 24 box of crayons. Well, I got the 64. I got the 128. It's like,
let's be clear, I had both.
This my partner though. So if you got the 128, I got the 128 too. And I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
I'm not like, well, I'm gonna go get my own 120. I thought we were partners.
Right.
Right.
So if I have a 128, we have a
We have a
128.
128, and that's how it should be communicated.
Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes that sting is because people have whatever past traumas or whatever other relationships that you're going to remind them when you say I have.
Right.
Right. And their thought process might be we.
Yeah.
But you just said I.
Right.
In any situation. And now that sort of communication makes them feel like, damn, am I on my own in this relationship?
And now let's not negate. Everybody got a pass.
Right.
Everybody's allowed to have a pass. But what I will say is be conscientious and govern yourself that your past actions don't permeate your future possibilities.
I don't know if conscientious was the right word there. Baby.
Conscious then. Sorry.
Okay, good. You know what I mean?
That's
I
fine.
just want the best out of you.
That's fine. But yeah, be conscious, not conscientious. And I say that, and I'll give this example. Prior to getting in the relationship with Kyrie, I was in a tumultuous one. Ew.
John was crazy.
Ew. But more importantly, there were nuances of that relationship that I'm
way better than boy, ain't I?
Was transparent up front with you about, hey, these things happened, so they might take me time to get comfortable with you on.
Mm-hmm. You did.
And again, that was, in my opinion, effective communication. Instead of knowing how these things would affect, but keeping them to myself and then having my potential mate trying to navigate around, like, I wonder why she.
Right.
But I know why. And that's not fair.
And
that's not fair. He didn't do it to me, and he should have a fair starting chance.
Right. And we both had instances like that. I think we talked about one on Oh That's Love before where, and I'm not going to go all the way into it, but we talked about before when it was one time I think I just went and seen Knox, and you was like, well, why didn't I ask you if you wanted to come or something like that? I think, matter of fact, it was this pandemic.
It was the Easter egg hunt.
Easter egg hunt, yeah.
I remember.
But it was during the pandemic. So they just had it around the house and stuff like that. And they was just like, if you want to come, come. And so I went, and you was like, well, I love me some Knox too. Why didn't you invite me? And I was just like locked into, this was very early on in our relationship. I was just locked into my son's mother. My son lived very close. I always was just jumping over there to just go see him or grab him, whatever it might have been. And I was just locked into that cycle of, Bob, I'm be back, or I'm gonna go over here. And I didn't think to include Natasha, right? So again, that was just a dialogue that we had that fixed it, and we've, 3 years later, we've never revisited that sort of conversation.
Right.
And I think that's growth.
Oh, yeah.
I talked on a Pro Lover show the other night about what I believe compatibility to be is two people's ability to grow with one another, right? I think people, a lot of times, they think about, are we compatible now? And that's going to be true for a lot of people, especially if they're in the same place, in the same walk of life at that time. But you really have to think about, can I grow with this person?
Yeah.
Right?
Because
can I go through life's changes?
You're supposed to be growing as a human, as a person, as a parent, as a friend, as a sister, whatever, as a wife or a husband. You're supposed to grow. It's what's supposed to happen.
Right.
So if your partner maybe decides, or maybe it's just not in their cards to not grow, it's going to create some challenge.
And that's a fact.
So you have to kind of consider. Obviously, you do not have a crystal ball. You don't know what's going to happen in 5 years, but you can look at that person.
I was going to say, you can
and kind of gauge if
you take some educated guesses.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
A lot of people.
Because I took an educated guess on you.
I mean, you should. You know what I mean?
Like,
Yeah, I mean, you got it right. Lucky you. But no, what a lot of people do as well, as far as growth is concerned. This is about to be a gem, so listen to this, right?
Oh, goodness.
No matter how old you are, it's possible for you to meet someone, right, who's at their capacity as a person, right? You meet them, and they're where they want to be, choose to be, or talents, emotional intelligence, whatever else will keep them for the rest of their life.
Okay.
Right? That's why you see people that are 20 years at Walmart, 30 years at the Social Security office.
That's fair.
Right? That's why, and no knock on that, right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of people that have, been a cop for 30 years, but they own 10 properties and their life is amazing, but they always wanted to be a cop. Fine, right? But there's also people whose capacity, we all know people who have been the same person fundamentally from 21 to 62.
You'd be like, oh, they ain't changed a bit.
They ain't changed a bit, right? They still at the same place and they're still the same person in life.
That's not a compliment.
Because they don't allow growth
Yeah.
upon them. They block out everything. They think they know everything, so
Yeah.
they're not growing.
Yeah.
So I say that to say it's possible for someone's capacity to be attractive to you. Wow, this person got XYZ going on. But you just haven't reached your maximum yet.
Right.
So now, in the course of y'all dealing with each other, you start to see,
Ooh, I'm inching above.
oh, that's their ceiling.
Yeah.
And now I'm outgrowing this person in different facets of life, and I'm interested in more growth. That's one of the things about us that I think is dope. We're both interested in more growth.
Yeah.
We both seek out knowledge and we seek out new things, sometimes together, a lot of times separately.
Yeah.
But growth is in our interest.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we talk about all the time just not being the smartest person in the room.
Right.
Like, we do not want to be the smartest people in any room because
Exactly.
there is always room to grow.
Always room to grow.
You know, I equate it to like being the 8th grader and then being the 9th grader. You're 8th grade top dog. Kudos, you made it. 9th grade, back at the bottom of the barrel. Try again.
Right.
Start over and work
Right.
your way back up. And that cycle there's nothing wrong with that cycle, actually,
No, not at all.
especially in entrepreneurship.
Not at all. And then when you go to college, it starts again.
Exactly.
Right? You be top dog in high school.
So it just depends on how you navigate that and understand that. But it's the same in relationships. Like, they have their different pockets of time. And sometimes you're top dog and sometimes he like they're top dog. But all times we are on the same page of how this status or this particular time in our lives contribute to our household.
Right.
That's always in game.
And what can help when it comes to the communication in your home. What can oftentimes help is the way you think about communication. And I'm bringing this up purposefully because most people don't think about it. They just do it, and it's a lot like sex where they just think they're good at it. But it takes a conversation with your partner to understand.
if you think you're good at it.
It takes a conversation, which is communication, to explain to people how to treat you, how to speak to you, right? It takes a conversation. Even the other side of the conversation is important, the listening side, so that you can understand how things permeate your partner or not. Some people have a person that they need to be told things 2 or 3 times, right? I have to tell Natasha things 2 or 3 times, right?
No.
I do.
Kyrie?
Natasha.
How are we both say each other's name like that? No, I'm saying it first. Kyrie has a thing about his thoughts. He thinks that he told somebody something. And this is a fact. No, this is a fact because Cat has confirmed this on multiple occasions. And I have been in the room where I'm like, babe, you absolutely did not say that
That's
to
not
him.
what it is.
And he's like, thank God you were here, TT.
I'm gonna tell y'all what it
I'm like,
is.
you didn't say that, babe. You have amazing thoughts.
The way I operate is
Vivid thoughts. That
you only got to tell me something one time. That's the way I operate. So therefore, oftentimes, I just tell them one time. I'll tell Natasha something one time. I won't tell her something, 2 or 3 times. Sometimes I'll tell her one time, and she'll plumb forget. Case in point.
This is probably about to be another one of you thought you told me.
No, this is a fact because this is why we're talking and we're having this communication conversation on Oh That's Love today.
I don't know.
Because we are supposed to film this episode last week.
Okay, and what are you talking about? Get to the point.
We were talking about filming this episode for weeks. And Natasha goes, Well, you never told me what time.
And if you know
Meanwhile,
Kyrie, you know that that's probably true.
it's not true. Because meanwhile, we had a whole conversation about whether it was going to be live or not and what time we used to film it and the whole nine. And within that conversation, we decided we was going to film it at the same time, but we was just going to film it and it wasn't going to be live. We had this whole talk. And then when it came to Thursday and I was like, all right, babe, oh, that's love tonight. She was like, can we do it earlier? Isn't we no way we can? And I said, babe, you know what? We not going to do it tonight. I said, I need you to think about whether Oh That's Love coming back or not. I'm going to let y'all know what time it is right now. We filming right now. We about to be done soon. It's 1 o'clock. We supposed to start earlier, but my dumb ass was having trouble getting the logo on the screen. That's besides the point. So we compromised, and now here we are earlier, right? Because another thing I'm going to say.
What is that? What is this, a roast? Like?
Yeah, it's a Natasha roast all of a sudden. Here's another thing I'm going to say.
I didn't even get to say my piece.
Yeah, that's cool. You know what? I'm going to let you say your piece because I was about to get you out of here about not having your own podcast. But that's another topic.
Yeah, that's not even relevant.
It is relevant.
It's not.
It's relevant
what
because I've been telling you you need one forever.
What I was going to say is two things. Number one, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. And I keep telling Kyrie that. So when you pop up and tell me we're doing it today, and I'm saying, well, you never set the time. If it doesn't have a time and it doesn't land on the calendar, then it's an idea. It's not a definitive thing.
But that makes my point that I told you though.
No,
so it's not that I don't be telling her and Cat, it's that I don't put it on their calendar.
No. That makes the point that communication is key because you know that about me. You know that I am like calendar or it doesn't exist.
And you know I don't fuck with calendars.
Well, I guess we got a hump to get over because that's why we didn't film last week. So therefore, communicate.
No, because here's another layer of communication that you leaving out. And we had this talk too, right? Natasha has become pandemic comfortable.
Oh, that's not true.
It's true, and I'm gonna tell them why.
Yeah, I was gonna say because like that.
And I'm sure
phrasing.
I'm sure it's a lot of other people that became pandemic comfortable. Now listen, no shot. I became pandemic comfortable too, and I told you.
I know, but
that's
it's not
what,
like everyone else is though.
Here's the thing. During the pandemic, before the pandemic, let's take it there. I was very, very productive. Not just busy, productive. My new Philly was popping. Focus Studios was up. I was poised in 2020 to make more money in the first quarter of 2020 than I'd ever made in a year with my new Philly and Focus Studios separately.
Sure.
This is how much business I already had on the books in March.
Yeah.
Right? I had things that were booked down in the year. People had already given me deposits for. We were talking about some big sponsorships with Parks Casinos. The show we had hit them high. Mm-hmm. We had sponsors coming in on that. We had a contract with Blue Cross that was like
you had a lot going on.
It was a lot of money.
We got it.
But it got canceled that week. That same week that everybody was like, they might shut down.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of money come off the table.
Yeah.
I say all of that to say when the pandemic hit, everybody had a little couple dollars coming in. You had your PPP, your PUA, whatever you was doing. And we had each other.
Yeah. And we had Oh That's Love.
We was doing Oh That's Love.
Yes.
We were in the house.
Yeah.
Being in the house made us complacent. It made us be like, I'm going to do a little bit of work. Then I'm going to kick my feet up and we go watch a show. We go be up under each other. We go, we going to chill. That's why I mean by pandemic.
I know. And I wanted to clarify because I knew that's what you meant. But I'm not kicking my feet up at 6 o'clock. I'm still at the computer. I'm just in the house. And I'm also winding down. So while I may still be at the computer at 6 p.m. or 7, I'm usually doing the tasks that don't require the most brain power. And they possibly don't move the needle forward, but they still have to get done. So when to Kyrie's point, what he's trying to say is I gave the pushback because he gave me the time. It was listed in the
And she
evening.
yawned when I gave her the time, y'all.
And it was probably like 10 o'clock in the morning when he was telling me. And I was like, ooh, 6
o'clock.
o'clock, 7 o'clock. Because let's be honest, you say 6, it'd be 7. I was like, I'm going to be on the come down at that time and not the let's do it.
And damn that. Damn that. I say you need to be doing a whole nother job at that time.
And that's fine. That's
and
your
if
opinion.
It is not my opinion because we have super big, giant ambitions and goals.
That's great.
You do independently and I do independently and we do together.
This is another great point of communication because there are several instances for people and for us where your wants and your desires for me may not be what I want and desire in that time. And it's also the way you communicate it to me, right? You know that. Like sometimes you'll be like, well, babe, I think you should da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, because it's probably the way you said it to me. And usually then I will take it in, digest it, circle back on a way that feels comfortable to me, but still allows validation to your point, because I do in most cases agree, but I do not appreciate when somebody just come right at me like, let's talk about this and give me the pros and the cons and the bullet points. And usually we get there, but again, that goes back to understanding your partner and learn how to communicate to them as well. So
I know that about you though.
I know you do. I'm more so just using it as an example for what we're talking about, because you do need to know the effective ways to get your point across to your partner.
It's also important to note that it's also important to take on some of what and how your partner gets things done. Because I've told you that a bunch of times, like we've talked about it on Oh That's Love before too, but Natasha is more like, ooh, there's a good idea. Let's shine it up and polish it and do all of these amazing things to it before we present it. And Kyrie is, ooh, there's a good idea. It's coming out tomorrow.
And which one are you? Please comment, because this is a 3-year conversation for us.
It is, but I think that there is a beauty.
You have matured.
And as have you. You come over to my side a little bit sometimes.
There's still much polishing.
Here's the thing. There's a beauty in our two styles finding a median. Because what's going to happen when our two styles find a median, and I'm sure y'all people out there, y'all may mirror us in that regard. You know, the man may be the wait a minute, let's figure it out, and the woman may be the let's just push it, or it might be other traits that you guys have, but ours is Natasha wants it to be damn near perfect before anybody knows about it, and Kyrie is let's just put it out, we'll figure it out along the way. So I'm more hustle and she's more meticulous.
I feel like figure it out along the way always costs more money.
And possibly, but you can also make money and to be able to fix those pitfalls. You're still gonna have to learn whether it's shiny or not.
That's fair.
Because shiny to you is still fucked up to somebody else. And my
That's very true.
My point
That
be,
is
let's
very
get it out
true.
in the marketplace and test it, and let's let the people tell us how we can improve, right? But here nor there, there's power in us coming together and finding a median, right? I might pull back and roll something out slower, but I got that it's getting out there, Natasha. Here's my deadlines, it's going out there. And that drives you to be like, you know, things will hit the market faster or get to people faster than they typically would because you have me, and it allows you to focus elsewhere because you don't have to do the rollout piece, right? And I don't necessarily have to do the shine up piece. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's beauty in, don't just bump heads and be like, you always want to, don't just bump heads.
Understand the strengths.
Figure the strengths out and work together.
And work together.
Right? Yeah. Super friends. What's the Marvel people called?
Avengers?
The Avengers, right?
Super Friends?
Super Friends is a thing too.
From who? The 70s? I never heard of that.
Ain't Superman and them Super Friends?
They are the Justice League. We're done.
It's some Super Friends out there.
We are done.
I'm not big on the Marvel and the DMC and all that.
Good night.
Is it the DCM or the DMC?
Just stop.
That's the
Please stop.
Democratic
Republican
Convention or something.
I love you, and I'm asking you to stop.
All right, it's cool. It's stuff out there. Let us know in the comments though what y'all would like us to discuss on this season of Oh That's Love.
Yeah.
It feels good to be back though.
It does.
It definitely feels good
Back
to be
and
back.
engaged.
You got anything or anyone you want to shout out before we get out of here?
I want to shout you out.
Oh,
I know, but no, for real.
She tried to get some yams, y'all.
Nope, I'm
she tried to
cool,
get some of
actually.
this.
It's like, no, honestly, I'm shouting you out really quickly for your excellent communication and, more importantly, for pushing me to hone in on better ways that I can communicate as your life partner. While I felt as though I was a stellar communicator prior to meeting you,
She ran into the bowl.
I realized that I was more so in a sense or in the space of smartest person in the room. So could your communication styles exceed others? But you put yourself in a different room with a different person, and you have work to do. And I thank you for being not only the person to kind of help pull the better communication styles out of me, but having patience while I figured it out. So yeah, so my shout out is for you today.
All right, so I'm gonna shout you out then, because there's a shout out that I always have to give, especially while sitting on this couch on this set in the Potty Time studio, right, where you can come and just sit down and talk and record your podcast, and we'll handle everything else. But what a lot of y'all don't know is that Natasha, my little partner over here, she was our first investor in Potty Time, right? So shout out to her for putting the money up to say, when I said, babe, I'm gonna have to redesign this joint, we're gonna have to do some building, we had to hire some people and all of that and make it look nice. I ain't had no money. Because y'all know I am a film director, and I have decided that I'm going to spend my money on making films. And I know that it's going to be profitable. It's going to take some time, but I have a writer in my corner that loves what I do as a filmmaker, and she lets me rock and roll. So she gave me no pushback when I emptied my bank account to do Money Lovers, which will be streaming soon. And I gave her a little bit of money and was like, baby, handle the bills as long as we possibly can. And when Potty Time came up, I was like, baby, I need some money, do Potty Time. And she didn't flinch. So shout out to you for stepping up in that way and really being a partner in things that are more interesting and endeavorous to me.
Yeah.
So shout out there. Potty Time Philly on Gmail if you on Gmail. But it is Potty Time Philly at Gmail too. But I wanted to say Potty Time Philly on Instagram.
Yes.
Is where I was going if you want to inquire. And I'm Kyrie Terrell on all platforms.
And
y'all want to get at me?
I am Tosh Wills
For
on
now.
all platforms.
For now. She about to be Tosh Terrell.
This is another conversation for another day about
You know
this
what I'm saying?
changing the handle, because we'll get into it on another
She don't want to
episode.
change her handle, y'all. What y'all think? When she changed her last name, she can't be Tosh Wills no more.
I've seen it.
No. Damn that.
Beyonce is still Beyonce Knowles - Carter, but it's Beyonce.
All right,
I
that's
digress.
Cool. That's cool. We about to get out of here, man. It's been fun, baby.
Can you see this in the frame?
You gonna leave me hanging?
I know, because I wasn't sure if we could see it.
Of course they could see it.
All right, let's see. Do you still remember it?
Of course I remember it. We forgot the kiss part. But yeah, man.
It's a troll bot.
Was that a little hint for people for where we going in December?
We'll stay tuned. Our Oh That's Love listeners will probably get the first drop on our wedding location.
Oh man.
Stay tuned.
All right, we out of here, man. So that's love.